A food allergy diagnosis changes your life. Food allergies affect you, your family, your education, your career, your everything. That said, as with all adversity in life, you have choices in how you can handle it. Some people choose to raise their hands, stand up, and get involved as advocates. They look food allergy right in the face and say, I've got this. And they focus their energy on empowering others to feel the same. These food allergy warriors range in age and background, but have one thing in common. They turned their food allergy story into action. Now I'm going to shine the spotlight on them to inspire you to join the fight against food allergies. This is Take Action with Hillary Carter. Hi, I'm Hillary Carter. I'm a food allergy mom and advocate and proud member of FAIR's Board of Governors. And I am so excited to introduce Indrani Maitra to you today. She founded an organization called Allergy Friendly Choices, a program providing food choices for families dealing with both food insecurity and food allergies. And get this, she's a teenager. Indrani, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I'm thrilled to talk to you. As a mom of two boys who are 8 and 10, I can only hope that they will be food allergy advocates in the way that you are when they're a little bit older. So you're such an inspiration, and I cannot wait to share your story. So most of us who are going to be watching are here because of food allergies. So let's back up just a little bit and tell me about your food allergy story, what your life has been like growing up with food allergies.
So first of all, I am 16 years old and I'm a junior, and I am allergic to eggs, dairy, tree nuts, chicken, and bananas. And I was diagnosed when I was like a baby. And like as like a teenager, I the biggest struggle for me with food allergies has been like the social issues, like the learning how to fit in, when I can't have the cake at a birthday party. And it's just and learning that this isn't like my fault, like this doesn't make me like inherently a bad person. And it was just like coming to terms with all of that was kind of my biggest struggle when I was like in like elementary school and kind of early middle school. And then just as, gatherings and like social gatherings kind of transition towards, food-based things like, dinner parties, birthday parties, and like, our parents weren't as involved with our lives anymore. I had to learn how to like assert myself. I had to learn how to advocate for myself. I had to learn how to not be ashamed of asking the waiter, hey, I have allergies to eggs and dairy. And now it's like, do you think that you could make sure that, there's no cross contamination in the kitchen or whatever, like in front of my friends? And not be scared of them, asking any like or like judging me or whatever. And that was that. And right now, I've mostly come to terms with all of that. I like to say that I'm a pretty good advocate for myself, which is why I guess I started advocating for the community, because there are a lot of other facets to having food allergies that people don't, I guess a lot of people aren't exposed to. And yeah.
Well, that's true. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. It's absolutely, so important to hear. And as I mentioned, my kids are younger, and so I'm always wanting to hear from kids who are older and sort of their experience and what was hard. And I do agree with you that advocating for yourself gives you some confidence and gives you some peace with the whole thing. So you're still so young. Congratulations for already figuring that out. And it sounds like you're doing an awesome job. So
Thank
tell me
you.
about allergy friendly choices and sort of how that came about and what made you decide to go for this super cool program.
So my ninth grade class was creating lunch bags for an organization in Houston called Kids Meals. When I realized that like I couldn't have a lot of the food items that we were putting in these bags because I had food allergies, and that got me thinking like, how did the recipients of this program who also had food allergies on top of food insecurity gain access to foods that they could have safely? Like, was hunger the alternative for a kid with peanut butter allergies who couldn't have the peanut butter that I was putting in these bags? And so I started doing that, really piqued my curiosity, and I started doing research. And like I learned that food allergies and celiac disease are a very neglected dimension of food insecurity. Like there are not a lot of programs, especially in the United States, that accommodate for those with food allergies. And so, for example, according to the Food Equality Initiative, of this, I want to say it's 60,000 pantries in the US, there are only 4 food banks that accommodate for food allergies. And it was this gap that inspired me to start this service learning project called Allergy Friendly Choices, which seeks to provide safe foods to families who experience both food allergies and food insecurity.
That's amazing. And it's so interesting as I've now been in food allergy land, as I call it. My kids were diagnosed now, geez, basically 7.5 years ago. And I'm still learning all of the different layers of food allergy and how this can impact different people so differently. And I do think food equality has been something that I've really been learning a lot more about in the last year or so, thanks to your work and Emily Brown's work. And it's so important. And I've been guilty of this, of when it's time for the food drive at my kids' school, I will send huge bags of allergy friendly foods, hoping that I'm doing the right thing and that it's going to end up with the people who need it. But I have no way of knowing that at all. And you're totally right, because everybody else is bringing in peanut butter and bread. So this is such an important thing that you're covering, and I love it. So tell me, how are things going? And so how is it going? Where do you see this becoming? What's the
Okay.
latest?
So, first of all, I just wanted to address that one thing that you said about donating allergy-friendly foods and not knowing where it's gonna go. That's like the special part about AFC, is that it's like a targeted resource. And that so basically I'm working with the Houston Food Bank to incorporate it into their existing special food programs, so that this allergy-friendly food that someone might donate, it goes to the people who need it. And so thank you for bringing that up. Right now, Allergy from AFC is currently piloting at West Houston Assistance Ministries, which is like a Houston food bank pantry hub, and it serves like a mostly minority clientele. So it serves like all of West Houston. And so originally we had planned for AFC to be incorporated into a program called the Food for Change program, which seeks to address the root causes of food insecurity. And so basically what we had planned was that HFB has like these like designated community health center partners, where if you're diagnosed with like a certain food related health problem, you get like a something called a food RX card, and then you can go to like food for change markets and redeem that card and get like food that would help you alleviate that problem. And so we had planned for those with diagnosed food allergies to get a food RX card and be able to get allergy friendly foods and like gluten free foods at these food for change markets. However, due to COVID, a lot of like these client choice pantries were shut down. So right now we are incorporating AFC through West Houston Assistance Ministries drive-through distribution. Every week we have been creating these things called AFC bags, which are uh, again, they're literally just bags with allergy-friendly food from all the donations. And so what happens is that a volunteer goes and asks like clients whether they need allergy-friendly foods or gluten-free foods, which is, by the way, like huge progress. But anyway, and then we write A or G on their car, so then when they come through, we can just give them the food. And so far we've distributed like almost 200 bags. It's been like in function for about 8 weeks, I want to say. Yeah, in the future, like I really want to implement AFC in other Houston food bank pantry hubs, and I also want to like figure out a sorting system at Houston food banks so they can like sort out all the gluten-free food and like give that to pantries that have like a population with celiac disease or food allergies. And yeah, see, hopefully it'll go well.
You have big plans. I love it. This is
Yeah.
such important things you're doing, and I still can't really wrap my head around the fact that you're in high school. So that's amazing. So, Indrani, if there's people at home watching who would like to help out your organization, is there a way for them to donate food or provide financial assistance?
So if you want to contribute in-kind donations, if you want to contribute allergy-friendly food, I have an Amazon wish list at tinyurl.com/AFC donations, and all you have to do is click on whatever allergy-friendly foods you want to donate, and then it'll just send it to my house, and I'll use that food to create AFC bags for the next distribution. And if you want to financially contribute, you can contribute through West Houston Assistance Ministries donation form, as long as you indicate in the comment box like this money is for AFC, and because they're now earmarking all of that money for AFC to make this like a long-term sustainable resource for like human families with food insecurity and food allergies. Yeah, that's pretty great.
That's very great. And I know that people at home will be really happy to know there's ways they can participate in your amazing program. And you're really humble and haven't brought this up, but I'm going to bring it up for you. AFC was awarded the first Living Teal Spotlight Award this year. So congratulations on all of your efforts. And what I really want to know is if you could give some advice to people who are watching, I think particularly the young people, the teenagers, the younger kids, how would you suggest they get involved in food allergy advocacy? What were the tips that were super helpful for you when you were getting started?
So first, I guess the first thing that I had to learn was being an advocate for yourself. You can't be an advocate for the community if you don't advocate for yourself. You have to. I know this sounds really cliche, but you have to embrace your food allergies. And you can't be ashamed. And once you learn to assert your autonomy, I think that would be. I think that's really like the first step to any of this. Once you actually get into advocating for the community, you have to be really persistent, and you also have to do your research. You have to do your research and let people know that aren't in the food allergy community like how pervasive of a problem this is. Like when I met with the Houston Food Bank, I had like all these stats from the Food Equality Initiative, and I had all these graphs, and just anything that I could do to show them that this is a really important problem. And yeah, that would be my biggest piece of advice: be persistent and do a lot of research. Yeah.
Absolutely. Those are really important points. And I think that doesn't change as you get older, whether you're working in food allergy or not, any career you choose, that's so important. And the good news is that now that we are, pretty far along in this food allergy journey, we still have so much work to do, but there are really amazing statistics out there. There's smart researchers and scientists and obviously FAIR, where we're getting so much data about the prevalence and all the different ways that people are impacted by food allergy. So that's a tremendous tip that if you want to get involved in some way, to do your research and have your data ready to share with people. It's about education and advocacy, and that's awesome. So great tip. What would be your piece of advice about sort of stopping and starting? I think about every time you start a new venture or you're advocating or you start a new program, there's always obstacles. So was there a time in this program where, you sort of got down, you were thinking this isn't going to work, and how did you overcome that?
Gosh, so many times, especially COVID. Pandemic happened, and all the plans for AFC just not only were they, I guess they collapsed because of all social distancing guidelines, but also it wasn't as much as a focus anymore because the food bank, they had to deal with all the rising food insecurity from the pandemic, and it took it was really demoralizing at first, but it took so much, like I had to really persist, and it took so much, like so many meetings and so many emails to help Houston Food Bank and WHAM realize that food allergies are just as much as a problem now in the pandemic, honestly even more, because like programs like WIC and SNAP don't really accommodate that well for food allergies. So like the need for a program like AFC is so magnified, and that really got me down. But I just, you know, I had to persist, and you know, they realized and they were open, and now we're here.
That's amazing. And I know there was so much press during COVID because in the grocery stores, people were having a really hard time finding food allergy friendly food because as people were sort of panicking and buying all the toilet paper and all of the bread, they were going in and buying the things they don't even need, like gluten-free products or rice milk or whatever it is, because they wanted to make sure they had food, but not thinking about the people who have to have those options, then not able to find them. So even more important in COVID, and hopefully moving forward, this, we won't have COVID again, but I'm so glad to hear about the work you're doing and that you were persistent and it paid off. So tell me one more time, if people want to get involved, the links where they can find you, nice and slow. And then also tell me where we can find you online, social media, Instagram, Facebook, where can people connect with you and watch your work?
Okay, thank you for asking. So AFC's website is afchoices.org, and all the main links are there. But if you want to donate in-kind donations, you can go to tinyurl.com/AFC donations, like no space or anything. And if you want to donate, like financially contribute, like I don't have there's not like a URL for the WAM donation form, but you can just find that on the website at afchoices.org. And I have Twitter at allergyism_101. I post a lot about AFC and just my general journey with having food allergies there. I have an Instagram for AFC at Allergy Friendly Choices. It's just Allergy Friendly Choices, no spaces.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then I'm going to close with, if you had one piece of advice for the younger kids out there watching or the parents who are watching about living with food allergies, what would you like to share? What would you like to close with?
Well, you're not alone. You're not alone. And I promise you that I guess I often felt like I was like the only one struggling with this. And that no one would ever understand. But then I joined FAIR and I joined TAG and realized that no, like this is something, these struggles that I'm having are like, they're not in vain, and like I am in solidarity, and just like know that there are a lot of people rooting for you and that it does get better. I'll get through this. Yeah.
That's so true and so well spoken, Indrani. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time, for all of your efforts. And as you mentioned, FAIR is an amazing resource. So if there's anybody out there looking for ways to become an advocate or who needs any sort of help with food allergies, go to foodallergy.org. You can also find me on Instagram at Hillary Toll-Carter or my website, hillarytollcarter.com. Indrani, it was such a pleasure. You really are a rock star. I can't wait to see what you do from here. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.